Yeah, thanks, Autumn. And thank you, everybody, joining us live for this. And for those of you watching on demand, this is being recorded on August 23rd. That's 124 days until Christmas. And we'll explain the relevance for that in a second. But thank you, as always, to Seek for bringing us together. I know part of the mission and one of the priorities that Seek had identified a number of years ago is this not only digital resilience, but also strengthening the marketing resources and toolkits that a lot of small businesses have in Schoharie County. So thank you guys again for bringing us together, connecting us with subject matter experts like Tish that you'll hear about in a second. So as we go through, for folks that are joining us live, feel free to raise your hand in the chat or put a question in the chat. And as Tish is going through, we'll see if we can kind of interrupt her at some point and ask some of those questions. Otherwise, this is intentionally being set up as a meeting format as opposed to a webinar, so that we can also have an open Q&A at the end. So happy to do that as we go through. So want to introduce today's presenter, Tish Zacher, somebody who's a great friend to all of us in Schoharie County, but in particular wanted to have her lead the discussion today. Her background is working not only with nonprofit organizations, but for-profit organizations. And in particular, in her nonprofit role, had worked pretty extensively on things like year-end campaigns. And obviously that translates very well, and she has a experience working for-profits that have seasonal sales. And that's a bit about what we're talking about today. So Tish, as we're sitting here at the end of August, I'm wearing shorts, and it's 75, 80 degrees outside. Why don't you kick us off? What is it we should be thinking about right now? Why should we be thinking about things this early? And I know you have some slides that you want to share, so I'll turn it over to you to get us started.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you to Seek for inviting me to for this opportunity. I'm very excited to share some information and hopefully get a dialogue going. Um, yes, it's August and it is kind of hard to be thinking about the holidays, but the reason why it's so important is because we need to have a plan. And, if we don't have a plan, then we're just going to be running, kind of running the rat race, like the circle, the hamster, the wheel. We have to go into it with a plan. We have to know what we're going to do, know what we need, what assets, what's graphics, what our goal is, and all of that. So I'm going to talk today a little bit about kind of the components of a good plan, what you need to think about when creating that plan, and what are some of the, outcomes or tips and tricks on how to get those outcomes. So if that sounds good, I'm going to share my screen and open this PowerPoint. So give me a second in case I do have technological problems. Let's see. There we go. Just give me one sec. Okay. So can everybody see that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Great. Great. Okay. So, as I said, preparing for the holidays, it starts with a good plan. So, if you don't have a plan, you're just going to be piecemealing it together and hoping for, throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? So, some of the concepts or the necessities of a good plan is goals. Goals to me is one of the most important, probably the most important one, right? And when we talk about goals, we don't want to just talk about revenue. I mean, revenue, of course, ultimately we're all in business to make money and our goal is revenue. But what are some of the other goals? When you talk about digital marketing, maybe your goal is to grow your social media presence. Maybe your goal is to get more, followers on Instagram or more followers on Facebook or more engagement, so forth. So when we we really want to sit down and write out or type up or whatever you do, talk to text. What are those goals? And definitely choose some things besides the revenue. There's got to be other things you want to do around your digital marketing holiday plan. And then of course the audience. It's really important to think about and focus on your audience for all of your digital marketing needs. I know that there's a lot of ways to figure out your audience, but when it comes to Facebook, Instagram, a lot of those platforms, it's pretty easy to go in there on the back end. It tells you who, the demographics of who is already on your page, who is commenting, who is liking, and all that good stuff. So a lot of the times when you're trying to grow your audience, you're focusing on the same demographics of the people who are already liking and following and doing all that good stuff. So your audience. And feel free to chime in at any time. So another thing you want to plan when you're planning for the holidays is what deals are you going to be giving? Are you going to do a discount on a certain day? Are you going to do a BOGO, buy one, get one? Is it going to be certain brands? I do part of what I do for my consulting is I do social media for the art studio. So a lot of the kind of examples that I'm going to pull in will be related to the art studio because I am working with the owner right now to plan our holidays. So for example, one year she did Adopt a Penguin. So if you're doing the Adopt a Penguin campaign, we could be putting together all that now, and we're not doing that in November. We're not doing that during Thanksgiving. We're doing it way ahead of time. So again, think about it, figure that out, put it down on paper, and then you can start working it into your plan. Let's see. There we go. Dates. So what dates are important to your year end, your holiday marketing campaign? I know when I was doing nonprofit, Giving Tuesday was always the launch of our year end campaign. It was Giving Tuesday. That took you right into the holidays, through Thanksgiving, into the holidays. Everything kicked off on Giving Tuesday. Black Friday, of course. Black Friday, we're going to compete with Walmart, but Small Business Saturday. But anyway, any dates you want to highlight, you want to do a special deal, you want to get people into your brick and mortar, you need to have those dates figured out sooner rather than later.
Some
And
really
then-
cool campaigns I've seen too are for like Cyber Monday. You could do like the 12 days of Christmas.
Mhm.
New Year, New You, refresh.
Yep. Those are all great. Yep. Great input. So yeah, dates. And then campaigns. So campaigns, are you going to do one, are you going to do like one specific campaign? Are you going to do, like Autumn said, New Year, New You? What else did you say? I feel like you had another good one in there. But yeah, kind of the campaigns around that. Again, my example from the art studio, we've done Adopt a Penguin. We talked about doing Pick a Pup. So there's like different pups. For my nonprofit, we did the I Want to Be campaign. So it was all about what the kids identified as they wanted to be when they grow up, and we did a whole campaign around it. We interviewed, teachers, accountants, pilots, whatever they said. We took photos, we did videos. It was all about that one topic. But yeah, so identifying those campaigns or the one campaign, that kind of will lay the groundwork for some of your creative content. I set this to come up slow. I'm not sure why. And then platforms. Again, in most cases, you already have your platforms, right? Like you already know what you're going to be doing your digital marketing. But all that means is Facebook, Instagram, whatever else you're doing, TikTok, YouTube. And if you're going to be using your email marketing, so Constant Contact or whatever you use for that, or even text messaging, there's a lot of text messaging options, especially for retail now. So just what platforms you plan on using. Well, before we get to okay, now what? Does anyone else want to chime in on goals? What goals do you think are important? Did I leave anything out? No. Okay. All right. Well, here's my little minion bumblebee. So Okay, so okay, now what? So we put everything in writing, right? We know what our goals are, we identify the campaigns and all of that. This is the part where I think a lot of people are like, all right, well, what do I do? So you're going to want to plan your content now. So how are you going to get the message out, right? The messages of your deals, your dates, your campaigns, all of it. How are you going to get it out? So here's some tips, you know, when planning your content. And again, I invite anyone to chime in. But so leverage your audience with new experiences. So one you know, kind of an example of this at the art studio, we have those like keepsake plates or where, you know, you can bring your baby in and you put the, you know, you paint their feet and you make a plate out of it, right? Like a Thanksgiving or Halloween or whatever. So that's like a new experience. It's something that you'll have forever, but you also have the experience of doing that, you know, doing that with your baby. So, you know, for some reason that was the only thing coming to mind, but yeah, just leverage your audience with new experiences. One year for Mother's Day, the art studio, I actually do this a lot, but you know, like we do like a brunch, like a tea party. That's what it is, not a brunch, a tea party. So tea, cookies, we paint pottery. I actually went when my kids were little and they each had a rose to hand to me. So this was an experience that I will remember forever as a mother. It was amazing. So just bringing that, you know, bringing that into your content so people can learn about those experiences. Drive urgency for the holidays, you know, get your shopping done early. You know, everyone wants to get the holiday, you know, busyness over early to enjoy the holidays. So I feel like this is a pretty easy sell as far as, you know, there is urgency with holidays. So, but driving that urgency before we sell out, before it's too late. Just, you know, play on everyone's anxiety, unfortunately, but we all get a little behind that time of year. Provide low stock warnings. So we'll do this a lot at the art studio, you know, new product or, you know, only 2 left, only 2 spots left. Be sure to register today. So low stock, you know, low stock warnings or not enough space, however, whatever your business is and however that applies. But again, you're creating urgency. And keep offers simple and brief. You just don't want to overcomplicate things. I think you want to keep it as easy as possible because you want it to kind of stick in people's minds. You want them to remember. You want them to know what the call to action is. You don't want to confuse them. So simple and brief. And my last point, when you're planning your social media, specifically content, this is really hard for a lot of business owners, and I think it's hard in general. But you, if possible, you want to keep your content to 80% brand messaging and 20% promotions. So I think a lot of business owners make the mistake of only doing promotions. Like everything you put out there is promoting your deal, this, what, you know, but you want to just show people your product or your store or your smiles, or, you know, in the case of the art studio, we're constantly showing people painting pottery, items coming out of the kiln, you know, a mother who brought the baby in for the footprints. So we really try to share a lot of content of just what's happening at the art studio. And then, you know, we intertwine in there with, there's a class coming up, there's, you know, this new product, there's this. So, but people tend to follow, like, and engage with the fun brand messaging, you know, not necessarily the promotions. You know, people might say like, oh, are there any left? You know, do you have these in stock? But for the most part, they're going to say, oh, that's so cute. Oh, I always wanted to do that. Or the best is when they tag somebody else, right? And they're like, hey, you want to come to this class? We love that. That's what we're trying to do. So, all right. So any questions about that I just went through? Nope. You guys are an easy crowd. Okay. So next we're going to make a list of graphics and assets needed. So we have our goals, we have our, you know, contents, kind of like what our ideas are. Now, how do we kind of that tangible piece, right? Like, how are we going to do that? So when you're making a list of what graphics you need, you know, you're gonna want to create, and this is where, again, I don't know, it's kind of hard because there's so many options for this. I don't know if you're making your own graphics. I don't know if you're working with a consultant and outsourcing this. I don't know. Everyone kind of does a different thing, but you really want to have eye-catching graphics focused on your product or service. So when you're posting to social media, the graphics is what is going to catch people's eye. You know, that's going to make them stop scrolling. That's going to make them, stop. So the graphic piece is to get a little bit of information out there, but it's not to get all of the information. It's really to just make people stop and look. But so you want to plan kind of like what graphics you want. For example, at my last nonprofit, we did the I Want to Be campaign. So we, my list of graphics was like, we're going to have 5 kids, they're going to be holding a sign with what they want to be. And then, we're going to use that like Monday through Friday kind of a thing. So, that would be part of my list of graphics. Okay. I guess I kind of already touched on this, but you want to keep graphics simple. So don't try to put all of your information in the graphic. You can put it in the text in the post, and the graphic is just to catch their eye. So if we are talking about there's going to be a 10% discount on all Halloween pottery, right, on Saturday. We're not necessarily going to put that all in the graphic. Maybe we'll put a big 10%, but really the graphic's going to be these super cute pottery pieces that people are going to stop and be like, oh my God, that's so adorable. How do I do that? And then they're going to read it and say, oh, great, it's 10% off on Saturday. I need to make plans to go to the art studio. So just, again, try not to put too many words in the graphics. It's really a visual piece to get people's attention. And then consistent colors, theme throughout the season or campaign. So this is kind of goes along with that branding, right? Branding in general, you want consistent colors and themes. When you do a campaign, you can absolutely, veer from that branding a little bit. You're going to include your logo, but it's really helpful to have a consistent theme. So again, for example, when I'm working on graphics for the art studio, I'll start by creating, say, a Facebook event header, right? So the header will have some kind of whatever theme. Say it's Halloween, I did orange. I did, the light up Halloween pottery pieces and some basic information. That's my main Facebook header, but then I tweak that and I do a size for Instagram, a size for Facebook, a size for, something else for the calendar that we actually print. So that's the consistency. They're going to see that. They're going to see it on Instagram. They're going to see it on Facebook. They're going to see it and be like, oh yeah, I want to do that, So it's kind of that consistent reminder. You need to see things more than once, but you can see them in different spots. So, so again, consistent theme throughout the season or campaign. And all right, and then you're going to write any copy for emails or blog posts. Again, it's really helpful if you sit down, 1 or 2 days and you focus on all that, because you're going to have a similar sound, right? You're going to sound the same. If you're putting it all together at once, I find anyway, if I write something a week ago and then I write something today on the same topic, they might sound a little different. So you really want to try to sit down 1 or 2 days and really, outline and write that copy, write those blog posts, write the text for your posts, and have it all ready to go. Any questions about that? Oh, okay. I feel like you guys are very quiet today.
I'm sorry, I do have a question. What do you use for your graphics? What like design softwares, or do you have any that you'd recommend?
Yes, I use Canva and I highly recommend Canva. the Adobe, I'm saying it right, yeah, the Photoshop and all those are amazing, but you definitely have to have some really good training, or I'm not certified in that. Like it's very involved. Whereas Canva makes it so easy, in my opinion. It's just really user friendly. I really like it. I would definitely recommend Canva.
Mhm.
And to get the pro version, if you're doing it yourself and you're not, gonna take on a consultant, or outsource your graphics, then I would pay for the pro because it's worth it.
Yeah,
How
and the
much is-
Canva
how
Pro
much is it
version,
called?
last I checked, I think it was like 120 to 140 a year.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it was very affordable.
Yep.
Okay, well, now that program also, you were talking about, let's say, sizing it for Facebook, sizing it for Instagram. That program is easy to use to resize all of this?
Yes.
And you can click, say you open the Canva app, you can do it right on your phone. Say you want to make a Facebook post and upload the graphic or images that you want to use, and it'll automatically bring it to the pixel size for whatever platform you want to use.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So for the art studio, I go
Oh,
down about once a week and I take photos of the products, and then I upload it to Canva right on my phone. And then I switch over to the laptop because I don't like doing everything on my phone. Some people do, but
Mhm.
and then I can do all my my creative content on the computer. But it's such a nice option to upload that on your phone.
yeah.
So here's some graphics, kind of just some examples of graphics that I made using Canva. And again, just the reminders, you want them to be visually appealing. You want them to catch people's eye. You don't want to put too much information, hopefully just enough. And this one here, I don't know if everyone can see that, but so this is a kids' night out, and that's kind of an example of consistency. Every month we just kind of change the date and the project. So this one says Fuse Glass, and people will begin to, will click, oh, kids' night out. Oh, I wanted to do that last month, but we were busy. Let me see this month. So it's about that kind of just that constant reminder and nudge and familiarity. Did I say that right? Of the content. So, woo. So any other questions about graphics?
Yeah, that Kids Night Out graphic, which is a kind of it's a static picture. You have a link there. Is that actually a link? Or
So
I
in
know, for
this,
example, Instagram, you can't really put a link.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, in this case, it's not a clickable link. Nope.
Okay.
In Instagram, you can't put a clickable link, but you could still put a graphic with a link in it, right? Like, you know what I mean? With the text or the copy in it. But no, it's not a clickable link.
Okay.
Mhm. All right. So now we get to the create a content calendar. And again, for most platforms, you really want to post every day. It's hard to do, but you really want to post every day, because if not, you kind of get lost in the algorithm. And I know one of the other previous digital marketing series talked more about that. So I won't get into that, but best practice is definitely to post daily. So here's an example of the content calendar that I use with the art studio. So again, for the art studio, I have a date of class if applies, because we do promote a lot of our classes, the date to be published, the text. So this is where, this is the text that accompanies the graphic. So again, what I focus on the graphic is getting people's attention, but the information is really in here, it's going to be a little information there. I try to include date or whatever, but here's where the nuts and bolts of it. And for Facebook, you want a clickable link, again, if applicable. So for the art studio, you got to go to the website to register. So we pretty much include that link, anytime we're talking about a class or anything that needs to be registered for. So for here again, and you can, I feel like every business is different, so it is a little bit challenging to talk to this, but that's why I just thought, I told Autumn, I'm just going to show you exactly what I do, because I feel like people can then be like, oh, well, mine would look like this, or mine would be a little bit different, but very, kind of
Is
the
this,
same.
is this an Excel chart?
Yep. Oh,
Okay.
actually, I'm sorry. This is Google Sheets, which
Google
is
Sheet,
basically,
okay.
yeah, Google Sheets, through the Google Drive. So, and this is great too, because you can share it with other people. So, if you have, multiple, if you have another owner or a marketing person or a consultant, like Jackie and I use this, and either of us can get into it. So it's
Is
kind
this
of
is this a template that you could share or no?
probably, yeah. Let me, I can follow up with Autumn afterwards. I'm sure that I
Yeah.
can share that. Yep.
Okay, great. That'd be great. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So yeah, I, approved, because again, we go back and forth. So she looks at it, she approves it. Sometimes she tweaks it and changes it. Then, we schedule it in the Facebook post, the Facebook event you have to create. So I would put scheduled, created, Instagram, scheduled, and then, this is for notes. So, if we co-host an event, so say we're doing an event at Apple Barrel, we want to make sure we tag them, right? We either put him in as co-host on Facebook if we create an event, or we tag him, or whatever it is on whatever platform. But that's kind of an example of one of the notes we would put here. So yeah, any other questions about that? No? And next I have another example. It's just tweaked a little bit, but this is kind of when I started to put the graphics, like ideally, and we kind of do this halfway, but ideally we would have, right, a collection of graphics and would have them numbered. And then when I do my plan, I just put the number of that graphic, right? So we're going to use AS1, AS2, AS3, AS4. That's all there. So that was kind of my, we kind of started on this in August. So, but this is a great way to really connect your graphics with your text, right? Like, you have text, you have a graphic, you know what it is. So that way, when you go to schedule, it's kind of easy peasy. You're not really, the thinking part is already done. The creative part is already done. Now you're just plugging it in. So, and then I did this one as little check marks, because Autumn and I talked about how we like checking off a box and it makes us feel accomplished. So you can also easily insert check boxes and then check them off as you go. So yeah, and I can share this one too, and you can tweak it as needed. So so any questions about editorial calendars, or any input on, how other people might choose to do this, or suggestions?
I really like how you've referenced your graphics. That's something I used to do when I was doing the social media for the golf course. Every graphic for my content, because I sit down and plan out 2 weeks at a time. And I'd assign a number with every single graphic I'd be using to put next to my content calendar to send off for approval.
Yep.
And so that was a great way to stay organized.
Yeah, exactly. Especially this far out for the holidays. There's no reason why we should be waiting until the last minute.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Great. Okay. Let's see. So then we're going to schedule all content. So I do feel like this is going to look different depending on, what you're using and how you schedule it. But again, I do highly recommend scheduling everything ahead of time and not trying to kind of do it, every day. Like, you can get this done weeks, even months in advance. I don't know anyone who does that, but it's a good idea. But Meta Business, I feel like that's the one that most people use, I think, unless Hootsuite, which I didn't put on here. But I know there's a bunch of other ones. So, but I personally like Meta Business. I mostly use Facebook and Instagram, and you can schedule all that content ahead of time. So you do want to make sure, like, because when you schedule it, you can do it both to Facebook and Instagram, or you can do it separately. And I do highly recommend doing it separately because the Instagram images really need to be a different size than the Facebook images. So you do want to do it separately, but it's very, again, I think it's user friendly, easy to use. You put it in there, you can see it on a calendar, which I personally love. And you can see, you can see what's coming up, what you have scheduled, and then you can always go in there. And I encourage this, schedule things out, but still go in there and do, last minute stuff or current stuff, right? So for example, I get a cute picture of the art studio of people that came in, like say customers just walked in, I'll post that right away. So it doesn't, I'll always check the schedule to make sure there's no conflict, but it's good to kind of add that in with the stuff you're already planning. So it's kind of like it's better to do both. Obviously, everyone has a different amount of time and resources, but scheduling ahead of time also allows you to, if you get, when you get super busy, as we all do, and you're like, oh no, I haven't posted to Facebook in like 3 days. It doesn't matter because you scheduled it already. So it's highly recommended, best practice. Do it in advance and then add things in as we go. And then again, email marketing tools, do you send an e-newsletter? Do you send it monthly? Do you send it weekly? Schedule that in advance as well. And text messaging apps. I feel like mostly big businesses do this, but I don't know. Maybe small businesses do as well. But that's definitely becoming more and more popular. The text messaging, if you want to get that 10% coupon, you sign up for text messages. And I don't know about you, but it takes me quite a while to stop the text messages. Finally, I'll be like, stop. But that they definitely got quite a few messages to me before I cancel. So yeah. So any questions about that, about scheduling content? Another way I can recommend that I did, that I've done in the past is just a Google Calendar. I mean, the Google Calendar, I don't know how you might use it, but you can have different calendars for different things. So I have about 5 different calendars. They're all color coded. You could do a social media calendar on there just to see what you're going to post. Now, you're not going to be actually scheduling, right? Like it's not going to post without you, but it's kind of a way to look at the big picture and then put it into your platform. So Google Calendar is a really helpful tool as well. All right. Let's see. All right. And then once you get that all out there, you're scheduled Christmas, you're set. It's September 15th and you're like, oh, my holiday planning is good to go. Make sure during that time that you are checking daily to respond to engagement because, one of the goals of your social media should be that engagement piece. And if people are putting questions or answering questions or whatever it is, you really want to respond. So here's an example, just some fun examples of some responses we might give. Can't wait to see you at the studio. We're so happy you enjoyed that class. That's my favorite season too. So just anything you can do to respond to that engagement will help the algorithm and will help you form a relationship with your customers, through digitally, essentially. Yep. So let's see. All right. So at the end of it all, don't forget to recap, don't forget to really sit down. And I feel like, again, this is something that a lot of people just skip over because they're moving to the next thing, right? Holidays is over. What are we doing for Valentine's Day? So sit down and recap. What were your goals? Did you meet them? Did you exceed them? Did you come short? Why did you come short? Kind of really recap. And this can be as simple as, writing it down, dictating a note. Sometimes I'll email myself, I'll literally email myself. So that way, 6 months from now, when I want to start thinking about the next campaign, I'm like, oh yeah, I emailed myself. I'm going to think of my notes. But that is just so helpful. You also want to, at that time, thank your customers, thank them on social media for making it the best holiday season you've had, or for supporting your small business on Small Business Saturday, or whatever it is. But thank the community, thank your customers. It goes a long way. Does anyone want to add anything to that as well? Like some things you would do at the end of the season?
Yeah, so one of the things I did with the golf course was at the end of the golf season every year. It was a big thank you to everybody who came out. We had a record-breaking year, all of that stuff. But it was also these were some of our favorite memories from the course. What were some of your favorite memories from this year, to build that engagement with the customer, to build that back and forth, and kind of start to tease out what we're excited about coming up.
Yeah.
So we always found that performed really well.
Yeah, returns and resizes. Don't forget to use those gift cards. That's always a good thing, just to get out and be proactive about. Everybody's so busy at the end. And then we'll be on to New Year's resolutions.
Yeah. That's another campaign, right? That's the next campaign. We'll be planning that in October. Yeah, okay. Well, I think that we've moved on to questions. So I hope that information was helpful. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Tish. For anybody joining us live, any questions, anything you'd like us to chat a little bit more about? And for those of you watching on demand, there's probably a link somewhere on the page.
No, it's a good presentation. It gave me some good ideas on how to begin planning moving forward. Because a lot of times you get caught up in this sort of, oh, it's Tuesday, let me throw something up there, versus having something already planned out. I appreciate this presentation.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and that's so true. I think it's really hard to get into the habit of being proactive and planning in advance, but it really, it really makes life a lot easier, my opinion, because we all end up putting out fires, right? I apologize if that got loud, and decided to mow the lawn, and so keeps coming by every couple minutes. But yeah, I think that it allows you more time and peace of mind to focus on if you do need to put out fires or handle things, that's already taken care of. It's happening, it's pre-scheduled. You don't have to it's just one less thing to worry about, in my opinion. Yeah. And then
Yeah, this is great, Tish. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And then, sorry, this is my last slide. It's just about me. If you want to get in touch with me, here is my email address. I know Seek has it as well. And then I also have to share that I am the owner of Flowerlicious Farms. So that is a cut flower business here in Cobleskill in Schoharie County. And this was our first year in business. And it's an amazing, fun, exhausting thing to do. So keep me in mind, follow me on Instagram. And as far as services offered, I offer social media content creation. I do graphic design. I can help with content calendars. There's lots of that social media and digital marketing that I am happy to help local businesses with.
Yeah, thank you, Tish. Autumn, let me turn it over to you for any housekeeping remarks. I know we have another event in this series, which actually goes quite nicely with our holiday planning, September 20th.
Yes. Yeah, so Wednesday, September 20th, our next installment of the Digital Enlightenment series is going to be on Intro to E-commerce. So we'll be learning more about what platforms are available, or if you're newer to a platform that you already have, kind of learning a bit more about how to utilize the services that they offer. And then sticking with the holiday theme for today's presentation, Destination Marketing, or Visit Schoharie, for their holiday newsletter. If you have any special events going on for the holidays or promotions, feel free to make sure you make a Facebook event so it auto-populates to their calendar. And their newsletter deadline for submission is October 31st. So feel free to make sure you reach out to them, and they'll get it in their newsletter.
Great. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thanks, everybody. And with that, we'll see you in the next one for this series.
Thank you.
Thank
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.